Today's social media segment is brought to you by South Louisiana Bank. It's better when we bank together. Waits and Downer, attorneys at law. Terrebonne Ford, built Ford tough.
Hey everybody, Harry McCullough here. Welcome into Bayou Time. There's a missing persons in Terrebonne Parish today, and here to talk a little more about that is Lieutenant Blake Tabor with the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office. So thanks so much for being with us, Blake. This happened today?
It did. So this morning, shortly before 9 a.m., our patrol division responded to an address in the 4500 block of Grand Caillou Road. That was in response to a missing 17-year-old girl. Of course, once patrol deputies got there, they met with several family members who identified the missing juvenile as a Heaven Lee Holmes. Again, she's a 17-year-old female. You see her photographed here. It was our understanding with the information provided that her family believes she was in the custody or in the presence of a Arlen Joseph Dion Jr., which you see him photographed here. Family provided additional information. Again, this is only speculation at this point, is that Dion picked her up in a stolen vehicle that may have been stolen out of the Lafayette or New Iberia area. Of course, anytime we hear that type of information, our first avenue is to try to validate that as factual information, which our investigators have been trying to do all day, and we have gotten no headway on that. So at this point, we do not have a vehicle description of any kind. Certainly wish we did. It would make it a whole lot easier to try to find them. But, you know, at this point, we're still working on trying to gain that information. Our special victims unit obviously is the one in charge of this investigation, and they are continuing to try to locate Miss Holmes. She is described as a white female, 5'7" tall, weighing approximately 210 pounds with brown hair and brown eyes. Arlen Dion Jr. is described as a white male, 6'4", weighing approximately 200 pounds with brown or black hair and brown eyes, as you see photographed here. At this point, we're still, again, continuing to actively investigate the matter, but Heaven Lee has been placed into NCIC as a missing person at this point.
Was she abducted?
No, there's no indications that she was abducted. It certainly appears that she willingly left the residence at about 5 a.m. this morning. So we certainly believe that this was something that she did under her own will. However, you know, she's 17, she's a juvenile. She is not able to make those decisions until she reaches adulthood.
And he's 19.
That's correct.
I see. So 2 years apart. But so the mostly think they knew each other, though.
That's the indication we have. The level of that relationship, if in fact there is one, we don't know. I can reveal that we did find some additional evidence to show that they did leave Terrebonne Parish. At this point, we're not revealing what that information is or where that location is, but at some point during the morning hours, we do feel very strongly that they did leave Terrebonne Parish area.
And together. And
that's correct.
More than not an abduction at 5 in the morning.
That's correct.
Again, when you first read that, you go, something like that. Hey, let's talk about missing persons in general. So this didn't qualify as an Amber Alert then? So we didn't get woken up today at 5 in the morning?
No, that's correct. This wouldn't have fit the criteria for an Amber Alert. And, you know, we do get a lot of discussion on our social media pages about missing persons versus runaways. So as far as this investigation goes, I'm not going to elaborate on whether this is a runaway or a missing person. From a law enforcement perspective, it may seem like those two are very, very different, but they're much in the same for us. Both are areas of concern for us and our investigators. And the number one goal for this is getting that juvenile or that person back to their loved ones. So, you know, categorizing these as something different is pretty irrelevant at this point. We're just doing everything we can to get her back safely.
Yeah, I'm sure her family is very concerned, you know, as they're wondering where she's at. I guess they hadn't contacted her by phone. She hadn't talked to them that way.
As far as I know, there's been no contact by phone. Again, you know, we're pursuing those avenues and possibilities. There was no appearance of any disturbances or anything that would have led to this. But, you know, anytime a teen chooses to leave the home against parents' wishes, there could be a multitude of things happening in that house. So again, we're doing our due diligence and making sure we're investigating that completely to find out.
So, you know, and not drawing any parallels to this case at all, but a lot of times when people go missing, runaways, you worry about human trafficking down the road, especially with, and I'm sure that can happen in any town.
Absolutely.
But we talk about New Orleans, I guess, more as that kind of area where something like that might happen. No concerns about that, but I guess that is always a concern.
Absolutely. It's always a concern because things can always happen. Again, anytime you have a juvenile that is out amongst themselves or with another younger person, both of these may not have the ability to make good sound decisions, and who knows what can happen, what kind of dangerous situations they can get in. So of course it's always a concern. Specifically in regards to this case, it certainly appears that the two would have had some sort of connection together. Again, what the extent of that is, I haven't been briefed on that information. But it's important to get her back in the safety of her parents.
Sure, and I didn't mean to draw any parallels to this case. I was talking about other cases, but when you have a large city that is that close, I imagine everybody in our community,
Absolutely.
you can get yourself in trouble in any city, but particularly that one.
Absolutely. And look, you know as well as anybody else, I mean, anything can happen when you go into a big city.
Right.
You know, people are abducted on occasion. People are harmed by someone else trying to victimize them. So again, it's always important to make sure that these juveniles are with the safety of their family or their loved one, someone that truly cares.
Yeah,
about
and look, we've all been 17 years old, and again, I'm trying to separate the two things, but we've run off to New Orleans and get yourself in trouble. And a little fella in Nashville recently, got himself overserved and have issues, so
Absolutely.
Family's now looking for him. So those are all issues. Well, we appreciate the update, and I guess you can go on the website and find out.
Absolutely. And anyone that may come into contact with her or know her, we're certainly asking that they reach out to the sheriff's office at 985-876-2500, or they can also reach with information at Crime Stoppers Bayou Region by phone. The phone number for that is 1-800-743-7433, or anonymous information can always be reported to crimestoppersbr.org or on the Bayou Tips app.
All right, Blake Tabor, I appreciate it, man. Thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
We'll be right back with more Bayou Time right after this.